Hey guys, what's going on? My name's Jett and welcome back to the LeadFoot Racing YouTube channel. On today's episode, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail and try to create a small, concise video that you can watch about the Little Dipper. So the Little Dipper, if you're not familiar with it, is LeadFoot Racing's flagship kit-based race car. So it is designed, or the idea behind the design of it is to make racing as affordable, safe, and accessible by as many people as possible. So that means it's affordable to buy, it's affordable to maintain, it's safe, so it meets racing standards, like not, oh, it has a roll cage, or it has gas pipe roll cage. It actually conforms to racing bodies. And the accessibility comes down to modifications. You can modify this to make it your car and to let it grow with you. Or you can go into different racing leagues. A lot of cars nowadays, if you see an affordable race car, especially motorcycle-powered ones, you're going to see that it's built to certain standards, like NASA. NASA is a really common one that's kind of up and coming right now. And that's a standard that is great, but you have to go to NASA events. So our car meets events like NASA, or sanctioning bodies like NASA, SCCA, CHCA. For us here, that's the Colorado Hill Climb Association. You can go up Pikes Peak with it. You can take it to autocross events. It meets all of those standards. And does that cause a little bit of issues in the performance world? Yeah, frame's a little bit heavier, because the overlap might not be perfect. I'll give you an example. Tubing size that we have to use. So the rules for the tubing, when you compare NASA and SCCA, the diameters might overlap and the wall thicknesses might overlap, but those together don't overlap. So what's legal in SCCA might not be legal in NASA, and we want to make sure it's as streamlined as possible. So we picked one that is, and that means that it's going to be a little heavier. And that sucks, but we ultimately want more people to get into racing, so we'll take a little bit of a hit on performance like that. The car weighs, or at least the car that we're using, so we have a 2021 Little Dipper that we use as our test mule, and it weighs 1,247 pounds, and that's the way it sits with fluids, engine, everything, no driver. And that is, by all standards, incredibly light. So if we add an extra 20 pounds on that because of the tubing, that's okay. Yeah, 20 pounds is a lot when it comes to a 1,200 pound car, but it's also 20 pounds. It's not that much. So the car is meant to be safe, it's meant to be affordable, and it's meant to be accessible. We'll touch on the affordable now. The starting price that we currently have for the car is $15,000. That gets you the kit and everything you need to build a functioning race car besides an engine and transmission. So we use motorcycle engines and transmissions in the car. The reason for that is they're readily available. People wreck crotch rockets all the time. So the engines and transmissions are well built, they're readily available, they're really affordable, and you get to have a sequential gearbox plus a 12,000 RPM redline, depending on your engine. And we don't stick to just one engine. So a lot of companies, like I mentioned before, motorcycle-powered cars, they'll pick one engine, and that's what they have. Common one is the Hayabusa engine. Nothing against the Hayabusa. We will have an option, or we have an option at this point, for the Hayabusa. It's a completely popular, completely bulletproof, like, it's a great engine. But you pay the price for that. The engines that you buy used might cost $3,000 to $5,000. Yeah, you might find some deals here and there, might have a friend, but this is a common price. A good price for one of those is about $2,000, or at least at the time of recording this video. And we didn't want somebody to be stuck with an engine that's not as affordable, because your car costs $15,000, now your engine just to start is $5,000. It's a little hokey if you ask me, but that's just my opinion. So we use as many different engine options as possible. So here, I'll give you an example. Here is the engine that we took out of the car. It's a 1987 Honda CBR 600F. Yeah, an F. So it is 600 cc's. It made 89 horsepower. I think it was 89 horsepower. It was right around 85 or 89 horsepower in 1987. And it worked in the car. And we had a great time. We were able to take it to the autocross course when we first finished the 2021 car. And we were able to keep up or beat Fiesta STs, Golf GTIs, and Subaru STIs on the autocross course. And that was in about a 1,200 pound car because that engine weighs about 50 pounds less than the current engine we have. It had no body, so it wasn't aerodynamically sound, but it's autocross, so that's okay. That was with me driving. That was the first event I had ever driven. Any car, any event. And that was on 5-year-old all-season tires. So, we were doing pretty good with 89 or 85 horsepower. 89 or 89, 85, 1987 horsepower. So, you can run that option. We also have a 1997 CBR 600, CBR 929, ZX12R, ZX14R. This is another ZX12R behind the stack of tires. We have, oh, here. This guy hanging on the engine hoist is an R1. That's going in our next car. And those are all engine options that you can pick from. We also are currently running a ZZR 1200. The reason for that, that bike is incredibly cheap and incredibly reliable, incredibly well built, and it makes a ton of power. So we wanted the end user to be able to say, I want to autocross it, and I don't know what I'm doing, so I want to make sure I'm not overpowered. So I'm going to put in this CBR 600 F4i, which makes about 100 horsepower, 110 horsepower, if I remember right. And that'll be perfect for now. I'm going to learn and see how it goes. Then they can still compete in NASA. They can still compete in SCCA. They can still autocross it. They can do all of that stuff. But then they can say, oh, I want more power. So instead of spending thousands of dollars on a new modification, maybe intake and exhaust, that gets you a 10 or 20% horsepower gain, or reflashing an ECU, or whatever you end up doing to a normal car, you can spend, like in my case, the ZZR 1200, it cost me $650. And that is for a running and driving bike. So that now takes my horsepower from, my case, an 85 horsepower-ish, but in the case of the example of the user, he has now spent $650 for an engine. That makes 165 horsepower, so he's up about 55 horsepower from before. That's about a 50% gain. And then, well, actually, that's exactly a 50% gain. He makes over double the torque, and he now only has to purchase the mounting package from us. So the package will include a new engine cradle, drive shaft adapters, wiring, whatever you need for that engine will come from us. And then it's plug and play. So now, instead of spending $2,000 to $5,000 on engine modifications to get a 10 or 20% horsepower gain, he has swapped engines, spent $1,500, maybe $2,000, because each engine is going to be different. That's obvious. Each engine package is going to be different. But on a low end, could be a few $100s for the package. You might be able to it just depends what they have. But spends $1,500 and makes 50% more horsepower. So we wanted people to be able to say, yeah, that's what I'm going to do, and we want to have as many options as possible. We want the car to grow with them. We don't want them to go out, buy our car, and 2 years from now be like, it doesn't fit me, I need something else. We want people to continue with our car and continue to grow. The chassis is designed to handle 600 horsepower. So we will be developing packages that will take your engines up to 600 horsepower. Yeah, at that point, you're probably not running a CBR 600 from the 80s. That's okay. But that's what we want the car to be. We are currently working on developing bodies, aero packages, all of that stuff, so that way when you go to order your car, you can buy them. And you can say, oh, I want a body. because of whatever reason. Maybe you're going to make it street legal. Yes, that is an option for our car. It can be street legal. But you're like, I want a body. I'm going to buy the body. Okay, optional extra. You can put that on there. We want a streamlined user experience for the customer. And we want something that they're going to love to drive. It's going to be reliable. It's going to be easy to keep on the track. That's another point that I'll touch on real quick. We use a ton of off-the-shelf components. Can we engineer them? Yeah. Can we find people to make them for us? Yeah. Does it look as cool running high-performance brake pads, so like Duralast Gold, from AutoZone as opposed to running some type of crazy Willwood pad? Maybe not. Our car doesn't weigh as much, so you don't need to. Plus, if you for some reason smoke a set of pads at the track, you can run down to AutoZone and pick up a set because they're off the shelf. It makes our job easier for designing. Well, actually it probably makes it harder because a lot of the off-the-shelf components you can't find to model or put in. You can't model, you can't put them into inventories as easily because you need to buy so many and we don't meet this, whatever. But we wanted to make it as affordable for the end user as possible. So we're not going to use any crazy custom whatever unless we absolutely have to. The chassis? Yeah, the chassis is completely custom. We make it here in-house. Oh, sorry. Coat rack. On our Bentec Dragon. That does everything, and we can hold super tight tolerances on our car, on our chassis, so that way they're all the same. But we don't make as many custom components unless we A, have to, like the drive shaft. We have certain adapters that we have to machine to make the drive shaft work. Or B, the customer wants something out of it. So something that we're working on right now is we're building lightweight subframes. We use BMW components. Those cars weigh 4,000 plus pounds. We don't need the subframe to be as heavy and strong as they do. So we can make lightweight tubular ones, and that's something we're currently working on. Is that going to cost $2, $5, $8, whatever hundreds of dollars it's going to cost for somebody to buy it? Yeah. Do they have to? No, they don't. But if they want a little bit more performance because maybe that's the modification they've decided, then we're more than happy to supply it for them to do it. We want them to modify their car. We want them to continue to grow, but we still want it to be affordable. So those might not be as cheap as buying used parts, but they're still going to be affordable. They're not going to be $2,000 for a front subframe. They might be $1,500 for a full kit front and back. But we used as many off-the-shelf components as possible because the work is already done there for us in a lot of ways to design it and to engineer it. But sourcing new parts or replacement or whatever makes it easier for the end customer. And that's all we ultimately want. I want people to get out and race because I never could afford to. And I've always said, why does it have to be so expensive? Yeah, it's cool to have a Willwood pedal box, but what's wrong with our pedal box that we get? We get ours from Spain. They're still racing pedal boxes. They're still custom made. They're still awesome, but they're a third of the price. So why does it have to be so expensive? And that's what the Little Dipper is here to do. We're trying, sorry, nose is itchy, a little dusty today. We're trying to make a platform that anybody can get into racing. It'll fit their level that they're at right then, and it'll grow with their level as their level goes up. They don't have to worry about safety. They don't have to worry about complexity. But if they want to do crazy things like car people do, they're more than happy. We're more than happy to let them. And we encourage it, actually. But that's Little Dipper. Thank you guys for listening. We're a small company. It's mainly me. I have a couple people that I keep around. That way I can basically ask them questions and they can call me stupid because that happens a lot. I'm sure some of you realize that, but that's what we're here for. We want to make racing more affordable, and we want to bring you guys along with the journey. So whether you're want to buy a Little Dipper, which please go buy one, that would be killer. But if you just want to support our idea, go to www.lead-footracing.com. So that's Lead Foot Racing with a little dash in between lead and foot. We have some merch on there. anything you purchase, whether it's a sticker, a mug, a shirt, it helps us immensely. It's only a few dollars to you, but it's huge to us. We also sell weld kits because I didn't know how to fabricate before I started this project. Most people don't. A lot of people like myself, I'm an engineer. They don't teach you how to do that. So we have welding kits for you to learn how to weld. So go ahead and pick up a couple of those if you're getting into fabricating or you want to practice or dial in a new machine. But if you don't want to spend any money, please like, subscribe, share, comment below. Call me ugly if you want. But anything you guys do to help spread the word is immensely, like, I can't put into words that that's huge for us. But please share, like, subscribe. I know I sound like a broken record, but thank you so much for watching. My name's Jett. Stay tuned for more videos. Thank you.